This is Progman Rob for PowerOfMetal.dk. This is my conversation with legendary guitarist Steve Morse.
I figured we could talk a little bit about Flying Colors, since I'm sure that's what you're anxious to talk about.
Sure.
So, and I appreciate you taking the time out. I'm sure you're busy. You're talking to Germany and what have you. But when you guys started out doing Flying Colors, and it was before it was even titled that. Now, it was Bill Evans, I think, that came up with it. How did he convince you to get involved?
Well, he was sort of like the facilitator. The main thing was his idea was intriguing, and he offered to do the logistics of putting it together. Is myself and Terry Lipgren and Neil Morse, and then at the time Terry had something come up in his life and he couldn't be a part of it.
Okay.
So just Neil and I got together, and that was basically my request. I want to see if I can even write with this guy before we go any further.
Sure.
And we wrote really well. It went amazingly well. So I was all gung-ho at that point. And yeah, in general, these kind of things happen because, somebody just like put people together. And Bill is like, he was that guy. He wanted.
Yeah, he
didn't want to contribute.
Yeah.
Didn't want to contribute to the music, but wanted to put the ingredients together and see what kind of.
Yeah, because there's no telling how it's going to really turn out. I mean, you don't know if you're going to have the chemistry, so it's kind of, it's amazing. I mean, Neil's done a lot of stuff with a lot of different people, so, but you still don't know. And you've done a lot of stuff with a lot of different people, like you said, with the Kansas Connection and Deep Purple. But you don't know until you're in the same room, and either it's going to click or it's not going to click, right?
Right.
So then I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, so we had a great start, you and I, and then he was used to working with Mike on all his recent projects and considered him a valuable resource, and I was used to working with Dave.
Right.
So we both kind of brought in our teammates.
Yep.
And then all got together and talked about what kind of singer and who we would like. And Mike, who knows everybody apparently.
He does.
He said, I met this guy, and it was years ago when he was in Industry, a different band.
Yep.
And there's something special about him. He's really a great writer and has a great voice.
He does.
Sure enough.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like you said, you've got basically two camps here with you and Dave who have played together. You guys, I'm trying to even think, 20, 30 years, 25 years you guys have been together? It's been a long time.
Yeah, about 30. Yeah,
and then like you said, Mike and Neil. And now, Casey's got this position where he's walking in, and maybe it's Mike a little bit, but that's got to be intimidating a little bit, and he just kind of knocks it out of the park by fitting.
Yeah, and he's younger too.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a totally different style of music. You guys are doing, your thing, and there's a similarity there, but Casey's from an alternative rock kind of background. So.
Yeah, and it was funny watching the first day. He was a little bit shy for the reasons you just described. And then watching him just slowly, inexorably, unable to control himself, turn into who he really was.
Oh, wow.
During the writing process, he was just trying to be so tactful at first.
Sure.
Oh, guys, that sounds really good. I think it might just sort of have a signature from maybe a different time than I lived in, and maybe we should let's try and change that a little bit.
Kind of coaching you guys along, yeah. That's
Tried to say, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, don't forget me. Yeah.
after a few days, it was like, nah, I don't like that.
Yeah, then he doesn't care. Now he's probably like, oh, that's crap. What are you guys doing?
We all are pretty polite, but have no problem saying their mind.
Yeah, now. I mean, that has to be interesting because, I mean, you've got 5 guys who you all have your own ideas, you have your own opinions, and you've got to make it, and it just works. And I mean, do you guys bring in ideas, or is it just something where you guys all jam that out in the studio?
Well, everybody, the first part, we were bringing ideas and emailing ideas, and then we had 2 actual live sessions, a little bit less than a week each, in 2 different, separated by weeks of time.
Yep.
And then that's where most of the construction happens. And then there's tons and tons and tons of homework for us that don't play drums. The drums are pretty much finished at that point.
Well, he works really fast. I mean,
he does.
Mike's insane, right? I mean, he can nail something at first take, and he's got his drum tracks down, and then you guys got to do the overdubs, and like you said, right?
Yeah, there's months of work, doing lyrics and harmonies, vocals, keyboards, and the guitar parts just take a long time because you just don't know what exactly is going to work with us.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work ahead after that.
Right.
So you could say the album, Mike did his whole album in 11 days or something like that, which is true for him, but not true for the rest of us.
Yeah, he's always saying it came together really easy. It's like, well, yeah, for you, you can do that stuff real quick. I mean, come on. And you're trying to work out a solo that's got to work and where it's got to work out and plan that out. And then there's lyrics, like you said, in the harmonies, which I think this time around are even better than the first one. And that's one thing I noticed. It was kind of, I think you guys are definitely, you seem more like a band now versus obviously the first time out, like you said, you're all kind of feeling each other out. It's more of, I thought it was just going to be like a one-off project. I mean, you guys went on tour, then at some point you had to consider this as being an actual band, right?
Sure. It is, actually.
Yeah.
There's always that thing that makes it hard to schedule.
Yep.
Because I work full time.
Yep.
My home base is Deep Purple.
Yep.
And Mike and Neil are always going, and Dave's doing other stuff too.
Yep.
Casey's always touring. So it's definitely feels like a band, but we don't have the luxury of being able to plan things.
Yeah, you've got to do things right, really kind of when there's time and spur of the moment. Yeah. I mean, lining up the studio and all of that, and then the tour. I mean, I think a lot of people are upset you're not doing a longer tour, but it's like, when do you have time? I mean, they should. I mean, I don't see how you guys are able to do one at all, personally.
Yeah, but putting the tour in changes my time off from 5 weeks to a few days on each side of this tour. Though.
Oh, yeah, I know. You just got off tour with Purple Sunday.
Yeah, I just got off tour today.
Oh.
Today was my travel day home.
Oh, God. Well, geez, now I feel really bad. You should be in bed. Jeez.
Well, no, I actually ended up driving in the middle of the night from Miami. So I could sleep in my own bed and wake up and do this. So no problem at all.
No, that's good. That's amazing, though. Now, as far as Second Nature, which we need to talk about, it's coming out. Let's see. I got to get the European date because I'm in the U.S. So I'm thinking it's coming out on September 30th over here, but over in the U.K. and Europe it's September 29th. What do you see the differences between the first one and the second one as far as musically goes?
I think we had a little bit more time to do our individual parts in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody knew a little bit more of what to expect from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were pretty relaxed about, not being afraid to get very deep into the details.
Right. Yeah. And now, as far as the songs go, it does. There's kind of a. It seems like you guys are kind of more. It seems more unified to me listening to it. I think I love the first album, but I think this one's incredible. You got two very longer tracks versus just the one on the first. Do you have a preference as far as that goes? Longer versus shorter tracks?
I don't. As a listener, I think something really has to be good for it to be long.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as Will Prince's that the Cosmic Symphony, which is really 3 songs
Right.
put together, that works because it does change tune.
Yeah.
It has variety in it, so I can deal with that. But when it's one thing just over and over and over and over,
Yeah.
as a listener, I can't stand it. So I'm always the guy that'd be fighting against that. One of the songs had a big, long fade out, and they were saying, just solo out on that. I said, it's almost 3 minutes of the same thing, of the same progression.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So we ended up,
you had to cut it then, right?
well, but not till I've done a bunch of work making that super long solo over it.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes the choir on top of that, and so then the guitar solo disappears that I did. So there, in any committee group thing, there's always going to be those miscues and duplication of effort.
Yeah. Now you guys.
It doesn't all get used.
Yeah. So you guys.
So I'm the guy fighting more to trim the songs than to lengthen them. Generally, but if it works and has variety, then that's fine. A long piece that takes you on the journey is really cool.
Yeah.
It just can't be just sheer repetition that makes it long.
Right. Well, you're right, and that's to me that's got to be the whole point of a song, whether it's progressive rock or not. It needs to go somewhere, and not just be this never-ending chorus or repetitive. And Cosmic Symphony, yeah, it is 3 parts, but they do go together. Versus being like almost like duct tape together, which you hear some bands, I think, try to piece something together just to make it a longer song for the sake of saying, we've got a long song.
Yeah.
So now as far, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Mike is especially good at arranging stuff. Whereas I'm more just kind of absent-mindedly spewing ideas. And Mike and Neil may be more thinking of how this can fit in.
Right.
Like Mike could, in the songwriting session, he would say, hey, that thing you did earlier in the day when you're messing around at the beginning, that could be a little interlude here. And he has an amazing gift for arranging.
Mm-hmm.
So he really helps.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. Everybody's got a role, right? I mean, that's kind of that's why this is such a band, and I think that's why the album works so well. Is each one of you has such an important part, and you can hear it. And like you said, it's about arranging this stuff, and even the flow from track to track works. The transitions.
Yeah, that's Mike's specialty also.
The guy does everything, doesn't he? I mean, he's going to be driving the bus too when you guys are touring, I would imagine. Jeez.
Yeah, well, it's a sign of a very talented musician is when you shine with different combinations of people, different chemistries of groups, and your talent shows through.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of those guys.
Yep. Definitely. So now this on this album, you guys self-produced, right? And Peter Collins was involved on the first one. Was there a conscious effort? Did you guys decide? Was it just a scheduling thing, or did you guys just feel like it made more sense to do it yourselves?
No, it was a basic vote. I voted to have Peter or another producer. In fact, I really like Bob Ezrin, because we'd just done an album, Deep Purple album, where it was, production was a big part of it.
Yep.
Bob Ezrin played a very big part in making more things happen than would have happened. So that's what I was aiming for, was let's make this over the top.
Sure.
In terms of, looking at all the things that might be annoying and fixing them, from an outsider's point of view. But everyone had done so many projects, so many albums on their own, and with other groups, that we didn't think we would really screw it up too bad. It's just a matter of opinion where, which direction you think the band should be at.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the other argument is obviously Neil and Mike have done production, and you've done your thing too. So it's kind of like you've each kind of are experienced at it. I mean, it's kind of like it's tough because I could see both sides of it. And Bob Ezrin, like you said on Now What, he did a great job, and he's done a great job for a lot of years of getting the best out of who he's working with. So I could definitely see the merits on that too.
Yeah. So and nobody's right or wrong. I think it turned out great the way it is.
Yep.
And I'm sure it would have turned out great with Peter or Bob too.
Yep.
And would have been different.
Sure. Yeah, it would have to be. Yeah, definitely. Now, do you have a favorite track on the new album? I have to ask that.
Peaceful Harbor was the piece I brought in musically, the verse for that. The intro was something Casey was singing at sound checks during our tour. It just, where he's singing ooh, with the chords, and then the verse is a slowed down version of something musically, the melody and chords that I wrote when my neighbor's son died. He was the same age as my son.
Oh, wow.
And he died in a motorcycle wreck. He was a very experienced motorcycle rider, but he and my son were both learning to ride at the same time.
Wow.
Riding around on a farm on a road motorcycle that was ours.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I was just sitting there absorbing all that, and it just happened to be in the studio, and I wrote that as sort of a little sad tribute to him. I gave a copy to it. The melody and the chords to his sister and mom.
Oh, wow.
And then I told the story to Neil and Casey when I was writing it. And I think that may have influenced a little bit the lyrics.
Yeah. That's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah, I think...
That's the one I'm closest with as far as meaning and everything,
Sure. No, and it's definitely one of the best songs on the album. I'm partial to the first two, and the last two are always kind of my go-to. Not that I don't love the whole thing, but I like. Obviously, I'm going to be somebody who's going to enjoy the spaces that each of you were given to play. Whether it's even a bass solo that Dave gets to do, on Cosmic, or obviously your solos. I like to hear the interplay that you guys have. So there seems to be a lot of that, and I like that about the new album.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy with it. I know the other guys are. And I just want to say that at any second they're going to call from like 12 o'clock.
Okay. All right. I will finish up then. Let me give you your last question then. Last one. You've got the tour coming up in October for Flying Colors, and what are you going to be doing after this? Crashing?
I've got less than 2 weeks, and then I've got to go out to South America.
Okay.
For a month.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Busy. All right. Well,
I knew this would happen.
It's always the way, isn't it? Well, Steve, I really appreciate you taking time out. It's an absolute honor. You have no idea to talk to you.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for great interview questions, and I appreciate you volunteering to do this.
Always. My pleasure, Steve. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.